It wouldn't be the first time the Psychonauts underestimated Maligula's power.
Fire! Leave it to me.
Hey guys and girls, how's it going? Hope you guys are having a great week. So we are back today with another review discussion, guys. Today we're actually going to talk about Psychonauts 2, which Dante and I actually, there is a reason he's wearing that t-shirt, which Dante and I actually finished. Well, Dante finished it I think last week and I finished it I think the week before. But the reason I wanted to get Dante in on this review is because he's actually played the first game in this series, which I haven't played. So I wanted to get his take on it and the changes and improvements and what he generally thought of the sequel in comparison to the original game. So that's why Dante is here today to talk about that. So let's kick off by just talking a little bit about Psychonauts 2, a little bit on the history of it, and then we're going to delve into this review, look at the story, the gameplay, the music, and graphics and all that good stuff. So Psychonauts, if you don't know, Psychonauts first came out back in 2005. This sequel has been legitimately 15 years in the making. 15 years since the original game. It's been a while. It obviously is by Double Fine. Now, when Psychonauts came out back in 2005, it was critically well received, but it was actually classed as a commercial flop. I think it only sold about 100,000 copies.
The best game you've never played.
Exactly, the best game that you've never played. Effectively, yeah, that's what it was. Obviously, Double Fine and the game director Tim Schafer had always wanted to make a sequel, but because the first game didn't commercially do that well, that really wasn't a viable option back in 2005. In 2011, they actually got the intellectual rights from Majesco. Apparently, they must have bought the rights to publish it or something. They managed to get the rights back in 2011 and actually re-released the original Psychonauts on the current gen platforms at that time. And actually, it sold very, very well. And as a result, it introduced that game to a brand new generation of gamers, a brand new class of gamers, and it became a little bit of a cult classic. It had a very strong cult following. Because it did very well in terms of sales as well, fans of the games were obviously very thirsty for a sequel. To be able to get the sequel made and to get it done, Double Fine actually did a crowdfunding campaign and actually raised $4 million in crowdfunding to actually fund this game, which is very impressive. So that shows you that a lot of people wanted the sequel. They did a publishing deal with Starbreeze Studios just to publish the game. That went bankrupt in 2018, so it didn't look like this game was going to get made. But then Microsoft came to the rescue in 2019, and as we know, they purchased Double Fine and basically bought them to become part of the Xbox Game Studios, and obviously put a lot of support and a lot of financial support and funding behind the game, allowing Double Fine to basically make the sequel that they'd always wanted to make and include all of the planned dropped content that originally planned to drop out of the game was now included. So it's been 15 years in the making. It's been a lot of hard work for the development team behind it, for sure. Tim Schafer, I'm sure the first day Psychonauts 2 came out was very, very emotional. I'm sure a lot of wine and a lot of beer was drunk in celebration. I never played the original Psychonauts, but having played Psychonauts 2, I have to say that those 15 years waiting was worth every single moment. This game for me is actually one of the best games that came out this year, and I absolutely loved every moment that I was playing it, and we will get to that shortly. Dante, your overall general take? Was it worth the wait?
Oh, definitely. It was funny. It was amazing. It was just good gameplay and a joy to experience.
Yeah, it's one of those refreshing. It's a platforming adventure game basically, but it's such a. You would think that it'd be quite heavy because obviously it delves into mental health and all these very, very heavy topics, but it does it in such a genius way. Now let's cover a little bit on the story. We're not going to go into too much detail because obviously this is a spoiler-free review, and we're going to keep it spoiler-free for you guys, just to give you an overarching view in it. This is a direct sequel to Psychonauts, and then also a VR game that came out straight after it, which was called Psychonauts Ruin of Rhombus.
Rhombus of Ruin.
Rhombus of Ruin, which came out after it, which I don't think many people played because it was a VR game.
Yeah, I didn't get to play it. I missed out on the PlayStation 2 original game, but then the re-release made me be able to finally play it because I heard so much about it. And then the VR I had to look it up online because of playthrough of it, because there's no way I've got VR equipment.
Exactly, to actually play it. So it is a direct sequel.
Yeah, straight after the first game ends, straight into the VR game, and then it's straight into the sequel.
It literally continues on. I think it's actually set like legitimately several hours after the close of the VR game. Do you need to play the original game to play this? Well, I haven't played the first game nor that VR game, and for me it didn't ruin my experience personally. There is a little bit of a recap at the beginning of the game, which I thought was a very good idea and a very smart idea on the developers' part. It's very short, but it just covers the overarching plots and what happens and some of the main characters. So you do go into Psychonauts 2 knowing a little bit of what's going on and why we're in this scenario and in this situation. So I thought they did a very good job of sort of transitioning that. For you personally, Dante, what are your thoughts on that?
The recap hit the main plot points beautifully, and it was all in character how it got delivered. I loved the intro. But so the only thing you really miss out on is just lots of little head nods and references back to the previous two games. You'd be like, why has he got a mermaid costume? What are they talking about destroying a lock on an aeroplane? What is, like just little odds and sods that make you go. So yeah, but the first game is still worth a play. Yeah. Even though it's pretty aged by now.
And it's not aged as well, I take it. Because I did try to play the first game, but I just couldn't get into it the way I did in the sequel. But for me, I think you can still follow the story without a doubt, and you know that's not going to really hinder you. So the overall story, obviously you're back in the driving seat playing as Rasputin Aquato, Raz for short. He is basically a young acrobat that is training to become a psychonaut. The Psychonauts are an international organization of spies, and what they basically do is their role is to keep peace, and to prevent sort of nefarious plots and plans. They also do research into the human mind and sort of psychic technology and different things, so they're quite fun. I do really enjoy the Psychonauts. I enjoyed playing as Rasputin. I thought he was kind of a cool character, and I generally thought the story itself overall was really well written. Basically, just to generally cover it, you are investigating in Rhombus of Ruin. The leader of the Psychonauts is kidnapped, and the Psychonauts 2 basically delves further into that, so who was behind that kidnapping, and also it delves a little bit into the mysteries surrounding the founding of the Psychonauts and also Rasputin's family history. I really enjoyed the story. I thought the characters were very well written. Actually, all the characters, like usually it's very rare for me to like all the characters, but even the side caster characters, from the students to the teachers to the founding Psychonauts to Raz's family, I thought they did a great job of like giving each character chance to shine and to delve a little bit into their past. And
even the little background NPCs had their own storylines that you followed throughout after each mission. It was genius.
Yeah, it was very well written, very smartly written. The voice acting was top notch, like really good voice acting. There
wasn't a single bad. They were all genius. And Raz, I can't not hear Invader Zim because it's the same guy. That was just genius. Yeah. He had and of course Gur's here because he his voice actor also got to join Zim.
Yeah, he was like
In a
basically
way.
one of the little abilities that you get where you can do this kind of like drawn 2D character, which is basically
Raz, make a little
a
Raz.
little mini Raz, but it's basically the voice of Gur, and he's literally just being Gur. I loved it.
Like,
It
they
was
must
funny.
have had fun.
Yeah.
And then you got, it was just so like, yes, wanted that. And then you had like Jack Black in it doing a voice that
Who was
wasn't
Jack Black?
a bit. Remember there was, I don't know about the spoilers and all that. Well, there was a song at one point in the middle. It was him.
Oh my god!
It was that character.
Whoever's singing this is so talented.
Yeah,
I was like,
he
who-
purposely deepened it a bit
No
for the role.
way! Oh my god! I did not actually know that. That's amazing. But
And
yeah,
then like
it's
the
so
mailman was Elijah Wood.
Good. No, really? What like
The
what's
mailman,
his name?
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
Frodo.
Yeah. Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, the voice acting's really good. I think it's the writing is just so smart. The humor in this game, I really enjoyed it. I thought the humor was really, really on point. There were so many witty and funny one-liners. The humor was just delivered perfectly, and I think even like the level designs and the writing was just really smart, because obviously at every level that you kind of go into, you're sort of delving into people's minds and you know what their insecurities are and what their mental issues are, and it does deal with some very quite serious mental health issues, but it does it in a way that's very smartly done. It's still respectful. It's funny, but it's not funny pick fun at you. It's funny in just the scenario, but it's done in such a smart way. And I just really enjoyed it. I thought the writing for me was probably the best part of the game, was the writing and the story. That's what kept pulling me back. That's what made me want to keep playing it. That's what made me want to finish it. Because obviously as you uncover the mystery and what's going on, you learn more, and you just get more interested in the lore and the world and the origins of everything. And then I just really enjoyed it, and I wanted to find out what was going to happen to Raz and Raz's family and stuff. And yeah, I just thought it was very, very well written, very smartly written. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I loved how it tied up. I had so many questions at the end of the first game, and so many hints and this, and it's like, I hope they come back to that in the second game, and they answered everything. Tied it
That's
all
great.
up nicely.
Oh, nice.
So many little secrets and this and that discovered, and yeah, the creativity of all the different levels. Like there were some brilliant ones in the first game, but this just expanded on it and made newer and cooler ones.
Yeah, there was some. I think one of my favorite levels, I don't want to spoil anything majorly, but there's a really fun one where you're in like a game show, and you have to like cook these recipes and things, and there are these like puppets that are like judging you, and that was probably one of my favorite levels. There was just some very, very, very cleverly written levels. The visually stunning. Like the game looks gorgeous. It looks stunning. It's so colorful and bright and vibrant and full of creativity and imagination, and it's so much fun to see. I think as the game progressed, the levels just got more and more and more creative, and that's what I really enjoyed about it. So yeah, story was great, visual level designs were great too. Let's talk a little bit about the gameplay and what we generally thought of the gameplay. I enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed the gameplay. It's a mixture of combat and puzzle solving and platforming.
All the platforming.
There's a lot of platforming in the game. You basically have access to different psychic abilities. You can map these to 4 buttons, and you can hold down like a wheel to switch between them. And as you're progressing through each level, there'll be particular abilities, psychic abilities that you'll want to use to progress it. There's kind of a Metroidvania style to some of the levels in that you can't investigate certain areas until you gain access to a particular ability. So it does offer a lot of post-game replayability for that kind of thing, because you can go back in on levels and try and get all those collectibles. There's an awful lot of collectibles in the game, which I'm not a huge fan of, but there is a lot of collectibles. Combat-wise, I thought was good. There's a nice variety of enemy types. There's a good variety of enemy types, which I really enjoyed. I actually thought the enemy types were really creative. Like, I love the fact that they represented like personal insecurity. So you think you had like a panic attack one, didn't you, or something like that? Paranoia, I think, was one, and then like sensors and different things, and And a judgment and stuff like that. It's got an actual hammer, like if you're just judging yourself, and guilt and stuff like that. So I loved the enemy designs, and I love the fact that you had to use a different psychic ability to tackle each one. I thought that was really smart, because it made you try out different things. It made you try different abilities and see what worked. And so you very definitely had to kind of switch on the fly. The combat, I will say, sometimes for me did get a little bit frenetic. Sometimes there's a lot that goes on
when they all come at you at once.
Yeah, and so it's can get a little bit chaotic, because sometimes you're just throwing out fire and running around on your ball, on your hoverball, like just trying not to die and trying not to fall off the level. The camera can also be a little bit unforgiving at times. It is sometimes hard for you to keep a track of things. I would have preferred, if you were locked on a character, for that camera to very definitely track that person. I felt like the camera lock wasn't as solid as I would have liked. But I did enjoy the combat, was fun. The platforming is fine, although on some levels it was a little annoying. There were definitely times when I clipped onto certain platforms and it would just get me killed, and then I'd have to redo a whole section again, so that was kind of annoying. But other than that, I actually really enjoyed it. And there's a very good level of RPG-ness to this too, because you can actually level up, and you can spend points to level up certain psychic abilities, and then there's like automatic machine where you can purchase upgrades and purchase pins, which give you added bonuses or elements to things, so they change up your moves a little bit, and so it works a little bit differently. So I liked that. There was a good degree of progression. I felt very much like I was progressing and getting stronger as I was playing through the game, and I enjoyed the gameplay. It was fine for me. I definitely enjoyed it more than I did in the first one. The little bit of the first one I played, I definitely enjoyed. The platforming seemed more responsive in the second one. What about you, Dante?
Yeah, pretty much agree, because the first game had quite a lot of fiddliness about it, and so when I found out we could happily get 4 powers to 4 buttons, I was like, right, sorted much better. But even then, I still found myself sometimes having to go onto the pause screen to switch out the odd power if I'm tackling certain enemies at once. It was like, I always want my levitation there, so I'm going for this one. Going for that one there, but now that one's weak against fire, so I've got to switch that one out. But other than that, the combat was way better than in number 1. But the bar wasn't set exactly high for it, to be fair.
I guess.
Yeah, and bar some fiddly bits, but other than that, it was still great, and it had improvements over the first one, even down to like the radar tracker thing.
Yeah.
Because that in the first game was a nightmare. I hated it. Trying to divine rod search for. It's like, oh god, this one was much better.
Yeah.
And I just really enjoyed it.
I think they did make a lot of improvements on the first game from what I hear. So overall, we both really enjoyed Psychonauts 2. The music's great too. I really enjoyed the music. I liked there is a section of the gameplay where it goes a little open world, where you do open up a little bit, in the Psychonauts headquarters, and you can go outside and explore the forest and different things. I really enjoyed those elements. I liked being able to go out and speak to different characters, and there are some side missions obviously that you can do as part of it, but I really enjoyed those parts of that kind of open world, sandbox kind of environment.
And the music always fit as well. Like you go in the caves, it's like, oh, this is cave music, definitely. And then you've got the echoing and the water droplets and all that. I really liked all the music, and it's got from the previous games, that bit of Twilight Zone-ish ding 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 bit in the music as well, and then it's like, oh yeah, now we're at the MIB headquarters here.
The Men in Black.
A bit of Men in Black as well. A bit of Uncle, a bit of James Bond. It's got a bit of lots of influences.
Yeah, there's one level at the beginning that I loved, which was very James Bond, that kind of spy bit where like Raz works together with his classmates, and I friggin' love that section. I'm not going to show any footage of it because it's a really fun section. I want you to experience it for yourself. But it's great. It's very creative, a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Overall then, in terms of scoring it, I would probably give this a 9 out of 10. It's one of the best games to come out this year. If you're a big fan of platforming games, you're looking for something that's just really fun to play, really creative, you're going to get a good time from it. Good story, good storytelling, good voice acting, good music. This is it. You know, you're going to get that enjoyment. You can complete the main game probably, if you don't do any side missions, probably in about 14-15 hours. But I did everything, and I beat it in about 20-21 hours when I played it. So you're getting good value for money, I would say, especially because there is post-game stuff and there is replayability. But if you have Game Pass, you should completely pick up this game, because it is actually on the Game Pass on PC and on console. So it's definitely worth picking up if you are on the Game Pass. What would you score it, Dante?
9.5 brains.
It's the same. Pretty much the same.
Yeah, it's maybe I got it that bit more because I really enjoyed the first game and a half and it was just a great follow-on, and it's definitely a must play. It's one of those where it's like, all right, check it out. If you can check out the previous ones, do it first, but otherwise it's still a solid game.
It's still a solid game, and you can jump in if you don't want to play the first game. But yeah, it's definitely one of the best games to come out this year. It's easily got a place so far on my top 10 list for 2021. Where it is on that list, we'll have to wait and see until the end of the year. But that's our review of Psychonauts 2 there. Those are our general thoughts on it. If you've played Psychonauts 2, please share your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Please keep it spoiler free for everyone. Please, guys, I would appreciate that. And if you haven't played Psychonauts 2 and you have any questions that we haven't answered in this review, please ask those in the comment section and we'll do our best to answer them. But I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Hope you found it useful, informative, and interesting. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys have a great week, of course. Take care, and as always, happy gaming. Bye, guys.
Yeah.
I hate that bit. It's so annoying.